welcome once again to the Dwarven Tavern. I am your host, Lyric, and this is Max. Nice to meet you, Tavern Cat. And today we are going to be doing a beginner's video. This time we are going to be talking about skills. And hi, Scarlet. Oh, hi, Scarlet. Oh, dog. Oh, dog. Today we're going to be talking about skills, or a better way to describe it is an attribute that your character can use on paper to better describe, to better show the statistics of what certain skills a character has. I say skills because it's not necessarily a skill to have certain things that are underlined under skills on your character sheet. For example, it's not necessarily a skill to spot or search or see or, do any of those things. However, it can be practiced to the point that it actually does become a skill. For example, listen, spot, and search. Pretty much every human being can do that, or half-orc and dwarf and elf. Pretty much every being can. I say pretty much because there are those select few that can't, unfortunately. But to have them as a skill is to have worked on it, to have fixed it, to have finessed it to the point that it has become a skill. And this is very hot coffee that Scarlet keeps spilling. To better outline what a skill is, simply refer to any one role-playing game which has a bunch of different types of skills. For example, Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 tends to have things like gather information, they have use script, use magical script, you use rope, tumble, stuff like that. Things like D20 Modern have things that are more tweaked to be modern style types of skills, which are, like computer use. Hi, Scarlet. And other things. What? Do you want to eat my lipstick? Is that what it is? Then there are other role-playing games which have differing skills and different skill checks, which can sometimes either elaborate on one topic and consolidate another. For example, in Pathfinder versus Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder only has one skill for search, spot, and listen, while D&D has all of them. So Pathfinder has something called perception, which is the perception of the, all of the different senses. So while, Dungeons & Dragons elaborates on all of those. And then there are some role-playing games where they don't have more than 10 to 15 skills, while there are other games that have up to 30 and 40 skills. And this really just depends on what role-playing game you're, getting into. This also depends on what your character has. You may be asking yourself, why are we talking about this? Why are skill points important? Well, skill points and skill checks and skills in general are important because skills outline what your character's abilities are, whether they can do it physically or magically. That doesn't include other specific character traits. That being said, characters have all sorts of different skills. For example, bards might tend to have a knowledge of everything, while a cleric might only have knowledge of, say, arcana or planes or stuff like that. So they do differ depending on what your character class is, but pretty much they have a select set of skills that they can all choose from. That being said, you can expand on them as well and spend extra skill points to get skills that you don't have, or in-game you can have your character go to a certain monastery, a certain church, a certain school of some sort to have this ability added to their list. For example, a knowledge of or craft of swordsmithing can be done if your character decides that she wants to learn how to craft a sword. Then your character can go to a blacksmith and get some points in blacksmithing the next time she levels up. Or your DM might deem it worthy enough to give them the extra skill points before they level up, which would be really cool of your DM, but I would ask your DM before that. Lyrics number 2 rule: always communicate. It's very important to communicate everything with your DM, with your players, with your co-workers, I guess. It's the players that are playing with you. It's very important to communicate everything that is necessary to communicate, because otherwise things will get lost in the mold, or fold, and those things would be otherwise very important to the game. Glancing over the entire topic I was trying to talk about, why are skills important? Well, they are the things that your character has the ability to do. I feel like I talked about this a tiny bit, but let me explain it even further. Skills are very much the ability to do something higher than average. They are, the reason that they're on your paper is because you have focused at least a little bit on these things, and you have given it a little bit of concentration. So you have abilities that can define your character even more in that they have studied these things. For example, appraisal is one of the big rogue traits, rogue skills. And appraisal, I'm using Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 again, is specific for the rogue class because they have a lot of things that they want to appraise, whether it be gold, or clothing, or fabrics, because fabrics are really, really pricey if you depend on, where you get them from, who made them, what type of material they use. That's very important for a rogue to know, so they have extra points in appraisal, and that defines their character even more. And it's just another tool to your character sheet that you can use to further explain who your character is. And that is the utmost importance of the character sheet itself, and skills is just one of those things. So, how do you go about using skills? Well, it's pretty much defined as, set in stone and word for word by the DM of the game. For example, they will be the ones to tell you to roll an appraisal check, or roll a gather information check, or roll a listen check. Your DM will be the one to tell you if you need to search or spot, but then you can argue that, you can challenge that and say, you know what, I am consciously looking for this thing. I feel like it would be more of a search than a spot. And then your DM, depending on the situation, will probably be like, you know what, you're right. If you're advertly looking at something, you're trying to, and not just out of the corner of your eye, then it's probably a search. You might not actually be like going through the bushes or opening up folders and stuff like that, but it is a search. The DM will usually lay these out for you, and they will usually tell you what is the best roll to do, or they will actually suggest roll a reflex save, which is not a skill, but it's pretty much along the same lines. You can make these suggestions yourself. You can suggest, you're like, okay, well, I would like to roll a gather information to see if I can't gather information from this book I'm looking at, or from this flyer that says wanted dead or alive. I'm going to see if I can't roll a knowledge check for, local areas to see if I don't know what's the word of the town. You can suggest these things yourself, even to the point of being a metagamer, and say, I'm going to roll, is it okay if I roll? Because it's always best to suggest it instead of demanding it. I would like to roll, or can I roll an appraisal for this, or can I roll a gather information? Can I roll diplomacy check for this? You can actually give the DM suggestions on what you think is the best one. Now, the DM's word is law, and if they say it's one thing, even after you suggested it might be another, it's that thing. Even if you have a higher score in one than the other. So please make sure that you roll according to what the DM asks, and no cheating. Because it's not a game for cheating, because that's not how life works. And going even a step further to that, if the DM allows it, you can use skills in non-traditional ways. What that means is you can use a skill, and this is not necessarily defined in the books, but you can do it according to what the DM wants or likes, and you can do it according to what might be appropriate for that situation. You can use a skill that is not defined as it is in the book for something completely different. And that being an example, you can use a spot to further your aim when you're in battle, or you can use, or search even would be better, because you're actually searching the opponent for their weak spot. And you could actually probably get away with that if you ask, hey, DM, I would like, it's kind of a called shot though. However, it would be more specific if you say, I would like to use my move this round as a search check to see if I can't find a better thing to shoot that would further the situation in my advantage. For example, would it be better to shoot a barrel full of oil with my flaming arrow or the guy in the head while there's 50 other guys over here? So which one would be better? Which one would slow them down more? Well, you'd have this one guy and a flaming wall to block the others off, or you have a dead guy who's on fire and then 50 other guys. So, like, you can make a search check in that situation and say, hey, DM, would it be okay if I made a search check to see if I can't spot a better target? And the DM be like, you know what? No! As just an example, I'm sorry, but you can't get away with that. Anyway, it can be applied. It's not a normal thing that a person could do. It's not something that you normally think about, but that is food for thought. If you are not a beginner, which, why are you watching these videos? But thank you anyway. You might want to think about what different skills can be used in these games to further the game along to my advantage, to my friends' advantages. What can I do with my skills that I haven't thought about before? Can I use my magic script ability to read just regular script, or is it just magically based? Can I use my rope for things other than tying knots? Or that's even better, expand the skill itself. You don't have to use it in a different situation, but think about what the skill, what its full potential is, because that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about, is what else can this use rope do for me aside from tying knots so that I can climb up or down. You can use it to start fires. You can use it as clothing. You can use it as you can use it as a belt. You can use it as, if you tear it apart and make it hemp, you can make even a basket out of it if you really, really thought about it. You have to do it in a certain way, and of course, my use rope skill is not that high, so I don't know if you can actually do that, but that is the type of thinking that can be applied to these skills to expand them even farther and get you even more experience points. That is the real goal of the game. Not really. It's to enjoy the game, but experience points is a huge, huge bonus. So in conclusion to this very food for thought style of beginner's video, this very kind of all over the place video, we learned that Lyric has a very high handle animal skill. And we learned that I don't really have that big of a diplomacy skill, so my charisma is probably not that high. Anyway, we learned what skills are. They also have different names, like they are called attributes, they are called traits, they are called skills, depending on what game you play. You just got to be sure that they are pretty much the same thing. They are your character's abilities. That doesn't include, it expands on the abilities, it expands on the traits, or stats rather, which is strength, dexterity, charisma, that stuff. It expands on that and puts it in a specific chapter, a specific category that your character can use to further your character's experience, to further their abilities, and it can be used in traditional ways, it can be used in non-traditional ways, and make sure you expand your thinking about what these particular things can do for you. Because if your character can benefit from it one way and your other characters can benefit it from another, then it's beneficial all around. And that's what's important to the game. I mean, this whole thing's important to the game. It's called skills for a reason. So, that's my 2 cents on skills. If you have any questions, like how to roll up skills or anything like that, please visit my how to roll up a 3.5 character video. It's kind of popular and I would like for you to check it out because it seems to be very, very helpful. And I am Lear Goins. If you have any comments at all for this video, please comment below. I'm very happy to hear about your suggestions. If you have any suggestions for other videos too, please tell me and I'll be happy to do them. I'm still getting on some more. Please look forward to those. And on behalf of the entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared it, then I charged. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Let the games begin, let the